Hi guys, so this is probably the very first video I'm posting in the new year, and this is not a lesson, but just something that I want to personally talk about. I recently had a really bad heartbreak. Heartbreaks are all bad, but it really gave me pain in the heart. I think if you have experienced heartbreaks, you know that it physically hurts your heart, right? That some people think heartbreaks happen mentally, like it's on your mind, but your body actually hurts. Heartbreak isn't something new in my life in general, but it's something that's happened in a while. I haven't had any intimate relationship with anyone for the past couple of years, so that's why it feels so new, and I wasn't sure how to deal with it at first. I think, the initial reaction when you go through such ego-crushing, heartbreaking experiences, you kind of blame the circumstances and you kind of blame the action that you did or the other person, but it's actually the state that I am in mentally that's the whole cause of this whole thing. I have been working a lot for the past couple of years with almost no human to human connection. I mean, of course, if I'm teaching people, my job is a teacher, I teach English and Korean, and if I'm teaching, I inevitably have to interact with the students, but it was always work. We always talked about what we were learning now, and we're focused on what we're learning now. We never really had an intimate conversation or friendship or relationship, anything like that. The only people that I kind of communicated with were my family and the cat. And I also suffered from a really bad social anxiety, and I thought I got used to that anxiety and all that no interaction state and stuff, so I was pretty complacent about it, and I thought it's something that's natural, it's just me, so I don't really have to do anything about it. It's not going to go away. The more I try, the worse it's going to get, so I'm just going to live with my anxiety. I don't have to have close friends or a significant other. I don't need all that stuff. That was kind of the values that I had for the past couple of years, and it turns out it's not. It turns out that I really need to work on my social skills and communication skills, because that really kind of messes me up when I'm trying to have deeper connection with another human being or other people. I have been very reliant on my ways of communicating or interacting with people. I avoid eye contact. I don't respond with a very engaging response when I'm talking with people. You can still get by with it, but when you try to do that with your friends or someone that you care about, that's going to be a huge turnoff, and that's also going to cause a lot of confusion and misunderstanding. So I think, after all those years of almost no human connection, when somebody actually comes into your life, you kind of think it's so special, maybe he's the one, and you just want to see things the way you want to, not what it actually is, and it kind of clears judgment, and that's what happened to me. And of course it didn't go well. It ended up really bad, kind of heartbreak. I think my initial reactions to that was trying to think of a way out, think of solutions, and think of what I could have done differently and what I can do now to fix it, because I just want this to go away. I just try to, get away from it, right? But I think what works the most when you're feeling pain in your emotions is you just let it feel. You just feel it. If you let it feel, eventually it goes away a lot quicker than otherwise. It went away in 30 minutes of doing that. So what happened is this morning, I was going to Seoul. I have to visit my plastic surgeon because I recently got a nose job. You guys know that, right? And I had to go to that monthly checkup thingy. So my mom drove me to the train station, and while she was driving me, we had some sort of fight. She kind of nitpicked about my sense of style, and my ego got really hurt, and I was already having a bad heartbreak, but then she says something that makes me feel worse, and it was just so bad. I felt really terrible, and in that state I got into the train and I felt so bad, and I didn't even feel like listening to music, so I just scrolled down all the YouTube recommendations, and this one video kind of stood out to me. I will kind of link it to you guys in the description box as well. I think it's a really informative video. It's about, the title I think was Why You Can't Find Love. It was a podcast video, and it talks about like the science and psychology behind all those feelings, like feelings of love and everything. It was a scientific video, but still it kind of made me feel more at ease because everything he said makes sense. So yeah, while listening, I felt more at ease, and the more at ease I was, I kind of paid attention to like the pain that I'm feeling. Like, before that, I just wanted to get away. Like, I wanted to get rid of it and fix things. Like, what can I do? But now I was more like, just let the pain be, just let me feel, If you kind of feel that, the pain gets more intense, which is normal because you're paying like attention to the full pain. But then it really goes away a lot quickly than when you just try to think your way out of it. And I thought that was quite like eye-opening, mind-blowing, and it was amazing. And I felt a lot lighter. I went out of the train with a lighter heart, and I tried to start engaging more with people with more eye contact and what I could do better. And I even made eye contact with the doctors and nurses. I usually don't. And it was awesome. I feel much better now. And I guess those are the things that I really have to kind of work on to become happier. Not just for the sake of meeting the significant other and making the relationship work, but just for my own happiness as well. That's something that I need to do. And I also realized one thing, that I am kind of better at how I deal with things. It doesn't mean I did the right thing, but it means when you're going through depression, the kind of thoughts that you rely on are the suicidal thoughts. So if the problem arises, some kind of problem arises, one of your initial thoughts is, maybe I can die my way out. If I die, it'll all go away. And I understand it kind of sounds messed up, but if you're in that state, it all kind of makes sense, because at that point, you know that no matter how much you try to kind of solve this, and you do actually solve it, another pain is going to come up, and another pain later on, because you already realize that life is kind of a cycle, and you're kind of fed up with that cycle. So you don't see the point of making things better. You're going to feel the pain anyways. Why do you make things better? So yes, that's one of the symptoms of depressive people, is that you rely on suicidal thoughts because it seems to make sense. But I guess now I'm willing to make things better, even if I know that I'm going to make the mistakes again and I'm going to feel the pain again. And I know that there's better ways than just dying myself out, killing myself out. So I consider it a big progress, and I wanted to say I'm extremely grateful for that. So 박수 for me. 잘했다. Pat on the back. And I also wanted to add that, I make a lot of videos and articles where I share about my intimate feelings and my honesty. So I think many people seem to think I'm a very genuine person who is very good at expressing my emotions and communicating myself. But what you see, or what I put out there publicly, is also kind of thought out, Of course, I try to be genuine and I put my real feelings in it, but then it's something that's done after I organize things, and then I put it out there, right? But in actual real life, it's hard to be so open as I seem to be online, especially when you're physically with other human beings. It gets harder. So I guess for me, I've been on YouTube for several years now, so I guess it's easier, not easy, of course it still takes courage, but easier for me to share my feelings online to people who are not seeing me physically, they're seeing me through a screen, right? Than it is to people who are actually, physically with me. Wanted to say that because I also wanted to kind of take off that mask that I seem to have, that I'm so genuine and I'm so I share things a lot, but it's because it's what I'm used to, it's online, and it's kind of different from real life interaction. And I just wanted to kind of remind you guys of that, so that I don't see myself as what I'm not in real life. Just because I do some things well online doesn't mean I'm good at it offline. So I wanted to just take off that mask, and this makes me feel a lot better. And thank you so much for 200,000 subscribers, guys. I haven't been uploading videos recently, but still you guys are subscribing to my channel. That's awesome. Thank you so much. And I am actually working on consonant assimilation video that I promised you for so long, and I actually filmed 2-hour long video. But while I was editing, it was so boring. Like, it was boring even to me. So I bought like other tools that I can film this with. So hopefully it's better that way. But I really, really want to work on more videos. That's one of the resolutions I have for the new year. So please bear with me, guys. And thank you so much for watching this video. And I love you guys. Bye.